potentially one of the best finishes of all time, I think.
Yeah, man.
Potentially, one of.
I love it.
Yeah, woo!
And secondly, who best embodies what Michaels did, aside from the almighty Dolph Ziggler?
No, don't be so daft!
Hello, and a very warm welcome back to the Gimme a Whole Year Wrestling podcast. My name is Dom.
And I'm Ant. And today we're looking at SummerSlam 1995. Did you have something else to say?
Well, no, I was about to get super excited.
Do an exciting thing then. Get super excited. Right, so a lot of people dig at this pay-per-view.
Let me go dizzy.
Oh, good. Don't excite yourself. A lot of people dig into this pay-per-view, having a go at it. I really enjoyed it.
I did too.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, no, we don't really agree very often on this podcast, and B, enjoy
95 wrestling.
Any of these. I mean, the next one isn't great, but this is
it's really interesting because there's some real gems, and there's an amazing match in this, which was obviously always going to be an amazing match, obviously. And I think some of the other matches are okay, so let's go straight into it. Back to the time of 1995, the number one film was Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat!
Get over here.
I love that video game, and the film was terrible, but also brilliant.
Yes, well, yeah, and we also have a Kushi in this pay-per-view as well, which is basically a rip-off of Raiden from Mortal Kombat.
I didn't really think that through, but yes, you're right. And it's a brilliant match as well.
It is great. And the number one song at the time in the UK was Blair Country House. What does that go like, Dom?
Live in a house, a very big house in the country.
That was very good. Commentators were Vince McMahon and Jerry Lawler. There's some massive debuts in this episode. I mean, massive. We'll go into them when we get into them. We'll do a little rundown on them. Who remain in the WWE up to present day as well. And we're going to talk a little bit about the history of them. It starts off with a video package showing what's happened up to the point, including King Mabel's reign of terror. Oh.
For everyone that rips into King Mabel, I'm a huge, no pun intended, fan of Mabel.
Very good.
I think he's a great performer. He's made some errors, but who hasn't made
I thought he was better in a tag team. I'll have to say. I thought he was better in Men in a Mission.
I thought he was better as Viscera.
Yeah, I like Viscera. I'd need to see it again, though, because it's been 20 years since I've watched Viscera. We see Isaac Yankem versus Bret Hart. He's going to knock his teeth out. Undertaker and Karma. After Karma's obviously stolen the Undertaker's urn and melted it into a gold chain. And we get in a Razor and Michaels ladder rematch from WrestleMania 10. That was obviously going to be good. And it is. So it's a great card. And I think there's some really good storytelling going into it as well. The pay-per-views were actually reduced in price to try and bump sales because WWF was doing awful at the time. This is sort of following the steroid scandal. And you've got to remember what was happening in WCW at the time. I think we'll talk about it a little bit more. It was
the explosion of WCW, really.
It was, yeah. We'll talk about it a little bit more in the next episode because that's after the first Nitro. I think this is just before the first Nitro episode. But this is sort of the birth of the Monday Night Wars, and this is WWF's attempt at trying to get people to rewatch the product. The buy rates were down from last year's SummerSlam, even a $2.50 price drop didn't help it. Then we get a Dean Douglas promo, teacher gimmick, not much different than Johnny Saint in the UK.
Some really weird times. Obviously, we've talked about Dean Douglas, of course, Shane Douglas, ECW legend.
Yeah.
But this gimmick, man.
It was a bit naff.
WWE, it's not so much nowadays. If you look at the success of your AJ Styles and stuff like that, but if you came from another promotion back at this time,
yes,
you were buried.
Yeah, mind you, there's a lot of people who come from WCW.
Same with Skip.
I mean, look at Hunter Hearst Helmsley. He'd been in WCW.
But even at this time, though, the Blue Blood gimmick, man, that wasn't.
Yeah, no, it was Paul.
And who was his opponents at this time? Bob Holly. You can't really.
Yeah.
And the like. You can't really put. You weren't going to put those guys over Triple H, were you?
No.
The Blue Blood.
Yeah, but look at Triple H's first feud against Godwin. You know what I mean? So it is sort of the same. He did different things.
He just stuck it out.
Well, he stood out, yeah. He did stand out. He was excellent in many respects. Hakushi versus 1-2-3 Kid is a first match. Although this isn't Hakushi's pay-per-view debut, we didn't talk about him, so we're going to talk about him now.
Incredible
Hakushi, yes, originally originally trained in a Lucha Libre style, which is why we see this sort of Lucha Libre style, but it's... I didn't connect that. I don't know why. I just didn't connect it. Maybe it's because he had the Japanese gimmick.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, he did train in a Lucha Libre style, and that's where the high-flying style comes from. In 1994, during a tour of WWF in Japan, he wrestled on the shows and then soon later got a contract to go fly across to the United States and work for the WWF. Hakushi, it means white one. There we go. Which is obviously why he has all the white ring gear. He had a short run with Kwang in a tag team. You remember who Kwang is?
I like Kwang.
Savio Vega was Kwang.
Mr. Spitting.
It was, yes.
He was also part of the Underdogs tag team at Survivor Series coming up. He was a face. He had a face run coming up at this time.
Who? Hakushi?
Yes,
he does. Well, he ends up in a tag team with Barry Horowitz, who was...
Well, Barry Horowitz was the ultimate underdog, probably one of the greatest underdogs of all time.
Nah.
In WWE.
Nah, well, yeah, it was the weirdest. It was what it was. He was a jobber for years and years.
Kind of like Barry Horowitz.
I do look a bit like Barry Horowitz.
You noticed with the kind of mullet, sort of.
Mullet? I don't have a mullet.
Well, you've let
I have a top knot.
You've let your undercut grow out, so it looks more like a mullet now.
Fair enough.
So,
but they were pushing Barry Horowitz as a guy who was he's in a storyline here. He was a jobber, man. And they were giving him a push because the roster was so weak at this time, you know?
I loved Barry Horowitz.
No.
Well, you do better then. You do better than Barry Horowitz. Go on. Have you noticed that is it NGW? They've put out adverts for local wrestlers. You go and be the new Barry Horowitz. Go on.
Just go get beat up in the ring without a real gimmick?
But then try and roll somebody up. Get a 1, 2, 3.
Okay. I don't think it'll happen. Unless it's booked that way, because wrestling's not.
Still real to me, damn it.
He was with the company, this is Hakushi, until March 96 on Raw, when Justin Hawk Bradshaw, also known as JBL, branded him with an iron after the match, and apparently, according to JR, it humiliated him, and so he left the company. That's Sonny's storyline, though. He still wrestles today. He's worked in New Japan, including a feud with the Great Muta, and spent a lot of time in Michinoku Pro Wrestling. I don't feel like they used Hakushi right, man.
No, man, he was brilliant.
I mean, he came in that solid in your house, and it was the best match on the card in the first in your house, in my opinion. And he was great. He was a great mover. He'd work well these days if you was to take him from this time and put him in the WWE now. And I think, for me, part of what killed him is this Horowitz idea. I think it was terrible. He'd gone from this great feud with Bret Hart into Barry Horowitz tag team, feuding with the Body Donners.
A legitimate villain as well.
Yes.
In the Bret Hart feud. You know?
He did. He looked great.
Yeah.
He looked great. And then it was just sort of wasted. And obviously interrupted in Jerry Lawler's match, in the Kiss My Foot match at King of the Ring. Oh, that was good, wasn't it? If you haven't seen that episode, we did review King of the Ring. It's a hard episode to watch. To swallow. Hey! Like a foot in the mouth.
You sound more and more like a Simpsons character every day.
Thanks. It's because I'm slowly forming into Krusty. That's why I'm letting these grow out.
Okay.
I'm slowly becoming Krusty the Clown.
Krusty the Clown.
Krusty the Clown, that's been my name as well. So we have a King of the Ring out there. Go watch it. Check our Wrestling Rewind playlist out, and we've got all of the pay-per-views leading up to this. Go check it out.
Also, if you're interested, if you happen to be watching this as a result of the NXT UK reviews or any of the present day stuff, thank you very much. We do have present day content as well. We have live videos on Facebook, facebook.com/givemeaWhole and we
interact with you guys on Twitter as well.
You can see we have nice t-shirts
on Redbubble. Sweet. Let's go into the match. So Hakushi versus the 1-2-3 Kid. Hakushi looks more like Raiden than ever. Barry Horowitz has beat Hakushi earlier on today due to interference by Skip and Sonny. Again, I think that was killing him, man. That was bad. Yeah. You should have kept him with 1-2-3 Kid, because these two, it's a great opening match.
Yeah. It's brilliant. I think it's one of the best matches on the show. Kid I'm such an advocate for him at this time.
Well, they were so skilled, the pair of them.
They really it was a real showcase. Obviously, since the kid was the face, but it was a showcase of Fukushi's wonderful high flying ability, his flips, and there's that flipping elbow that he does.
There was a cartwheel into a back elbow to 1, 2, 3 in the corner, which really brought the audience to life, and that's what an opening match is supposed to do. It looks impressive.
I really wish that the kid had maintained, in his later career, X-Pac had maintained that splash that he does. It was a really great splash that he did, and he used it quite a lot.
Did you notice what move Hakushi did after doing the cartwheel back elbow into the turnbuckle?
Carry on.
A Bronco Buster.
I didn't.
He did. He did a Bronco Buster on the 1, 2, 3 Kid, which is obviously ironic because the 1, 2, 3 Kid had later on become X-Pac, where part of his signature was the Bronco Buster.
Maybe he took it from Hakushi.
Mate, we have seen a Bronco Buster previously, so I wouldn't necessarily say it's just Hakushi. Hakushi was in lead most of the match, with Waltman throwing himself around the ring, getting great height on a back body drop, really exciting. When the 1, 2, 3 Kid is on the outside of the ring, Hakushi does a cartwheel before flipping himself over the top rope.
We don't even see that a lot these days. We don't even see that a lot these days with the cruiserweights. Like, it's incredible.
If someone did it these days on TV, we'd be like, whoa, that was really cool.
I think we have seen it with Ricochet.
Perhaps,
but I mean, look, we're comparing Hakushi to Ricochet. So if you're into modern WWE, you'll understand how good he was in the ring. Hakushi misses a frog splash from the top rope. 1, 2, 3 Kid gets back the momentum, including a nice jump off the top turnbuckle onto the outside. He gets into the ring and goes for his back heel kick, but Hakushi catches him and slams him down for the pin. Yeah, that move was wicked. It's like a brute bomb. Where he just slams him down with his arm. Amazing. I haven't seen a move like that in a long time. It's great. Yep. It's awesome. It's a really good match. Big fan of that. So, both of these are really underrated wrestlers from this time period. I know 1, 2, 3 Kid had the sort of weird push, and he went on to great fame as well. As X-Pac, but he did. But it was very different when he was X-Pac. I'm interested to go back and watch X-Pac. I'm very, me too. I'm looking. I don't know if I'll enjoy it or not. We're coming up to a time that I like to forget with Waltman, which is his heel turn. Against Razor. Against Razor, and the subsequent kind of he really lost his footing after this, after these series of matches, because he goes with the $1 Million Corporation. He's in a crybaby match in the next couple of years, complete with diapers and talcum powder. Wow, gets buried by Razor, crybaby, and it's a really weird time for the kid, and obviously such a shame for Hakushi that he never got the recognition. So he is, but then he's still wrestling today, so you can go watch him in Mission Oku Pro. Into the next segment, an interview with Mabel and Doc Hendricks. Diesel thought British Bulldog was the big one. Wait until tonight. Long live the king. I tell you one thing about Michael Hayes. Obviously, Michael Hayes is Doc Hendricks in this, the backstage interviewer. I don't know if he was great. He built up a lot of energy in the promos because he was so excited and so I'm here, blah 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 blah. But it overshadowed the superstar sometimes. I thought this really overshadowed Mabel. I also feel that way about Corey Graves. Do you? Yep. Yeah, well, he doesn't really interview him anymore, does he? But I feel that. I think he's a wonderful commentator, Corey Graves. I feel like his commentary, the way that he. Perhaps, I suppose, JR was very. I think he's probably the most prominent commentator they have now. Yeah, but his commentary overshadows the matches, and I know that sounds really weird to say, but JR was very good at being the best commentator that WWE's ever had, but fading into the background when he needed to be. I think as an interviewer, as a broadcaster, Corey Graves. He's a bit like the CM Punk of commentary. Okay, that's interesting. I think. You see, because you've compared him to... That's not a visual thing, that's more just he tends to... He's a little bit egotistical. Well, one thing you've got to remember is... You've compared Jim Ross and Corey Graves, but actually they're not in the same role, because Corey Graves is a colour commentator. So if you was to compare Corey Graves
Graves to Jim Ross's colour commentator, which would be Jerry Lawler, I'd say actually it's more refined than Jerry Lawler, who sometimes went off completely talking about. So at least he's still keeping it relevant to the matches and to the history, which I think is. Does that make sense?
He does recall a lot of good historic moments as well in his commentary. I mean, again, from a visual standpoint, from a diversity standpoint. A brilliant opportunity for him. Interesting conversation.
Yeah. Hunter Hearst Helmsley next. Hunter Hearst Helmsley versus Bob Holly. Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Who's he?
Triple H, mate.
Triple H.
Trips.
Wow. Would you like to hear a bit about Triple H?
Yeah, I have no idea who he is. So.
No idea who Triple H is. Awesome. He trained with Killer Kowalski in a class with other wrestlers, Perry Saturn and Chyna. Chyna would later become his longtime girlfriend. Was his girlfriend at this point, I would assume, and going forward until he went for Stephanie McMahon. He ended up in WCW early on in his career. He had a 1-year contract there, wrestling as Terror Rising. Ooh. And then he started to wrestle as Jean-Paul Levesque, where he would speak with a French accent, and he started to work on his finisher, which was a double underhook facebuster, also known as...
The Pedigree.
The Pedigree. And we get to see our first Pedigree in this pay-per-view as well, which is cool to see. And it's a great finisher, the Pedigree. Yeah. Great finisher. He teamed up in WCW briefly with Lord Steven Regal. The two had a very similar gimmick in terms of aristocracy. But this ended after he decided to not... What?
Just harking back to the Man's Man promo.
The Man's Man.
We're going to come up to in a few years. But I think Lord Regal or Steve Regal or William Regal got the short end of that stick.
He did. I think he did.
A man's man with his hard hat in the forest. And his lumberjack t-shirt.
Arr.
But he was British in America.
Weird. A bit like Triple H playing a French bloke in. Yeah.
Didn't have a beard.
No, because his second name was what's his second name? Levesque. Yeah.
It's Paul.
It is Levesque. Yeah, that's how you say it.
And they added a Jean.
Yes, exactly. So that's why they give him a French gimmick, because of his second name. That's weird, don't you think?
Do you reckon we could be like a super posh tag team?
A super posh tag team.
Call me Dominique.
We could be the Yorkshire lads.
Yeah.
And we could come out and we could throw Yorkshire puds at the crowd.
Yeah.
What do you think?
And we could be like, I love it. Just holding cups of Yorkshire tea, like branded Yorkshire tea.
Yeah, man, that's good.
I was thinking about the posh versions of ourselves. Like, I could be Dominique with a Q, U, and an E. But
you could.
You know.
But that's not very Yorkshire, is it?
It's not very Yorkshire.
Not very Yorkshire.
Anyway.
The WWF eventually went to WWF because WCW wouldn't push him as a singles guy, and it's at that point that they were repackaging him. They were initially going to call him Reginald DuPont Helmsley, but he actually asked to change it to be with the same letter, so they ended up on Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Wow, can you imagine?
Triple H, it works a lot better than RDUH, which actually sounds like a STD. Really?
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. A nasty viral infection. He had a lengthy career, apparently, with the Clique. He was a big part of the Clique. D-Generation X, the McMahon Helmsley era with a wedding and all that.
Multiple world championships.
Evolution. He was in Evolution. Did you know that? Reunions as DX several times. Still going on too long.
Just now, we're still going.
The Authority.
The Authority, he's still going on too long.
Yeah. No, he's a big part of it. But then he's obviously married to...
Do you think he's got one more match in him?
Yeah, I think
What Shawn Michaels?
Shawn Michaels.
Because
I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think you need to put him with some modern guys instead of relying on...
You want Michaels, AJ Styles?
I want Michaels, AJ, baby. I want Michaels.
I think AJ could
Michaels Gargano. That's what I want.
I think AJ could carry Michaels.
Absolutely, Gargano could carry Michaels. It just needs.
How would they do that though?
It'd be great.
How would they do Gargano, Michaels?
What, Gargano the heel?
Ooh, I like.
You haven't been watching NXT recently,
No, I saw
have
the
you?
promo.
Oh, very good.
I saw the promo. That was good.
It was good, man.
I got very excited. I was like, I think Gargano sits the 1-2-3 kid.
And if you notice on that promo on the WWE's YouTube page, Gimme a Hole Yeah has one of the top rated comments on there.
Nicely done.
Thanks, dude.
Social media.
He's married to Stephanie McMahon after a long relationship with China. Good friends to Motorhead, of course, especially Lemmy. He used 3 Motorhead songs in his entrances during the years. He was the founder of NXT, or is known as the founder of NXT, and is currently Vice President of Talent, Live Events, and Creative. Him and Stephanie also set up the Connor's Cure Fund. Yeah, that's a lot, isn't it? What do you think the future holds for Triple H? I think more matches.
I think he's taking over.
I want to see Pete Dunne, baby. Do you think it'll be any better?
I think if you're going to see anything, and this is where we run away with the podcast, because obviously we're a history of wrestling podcast primarily, but it's nice to talk about. It's exciting to talk about these things. I think you'd be very right to put Michaels with A Styles and very right to put Michaels with Gargano. To put Triple H with Dunne.
It's awesome.
Is an incredible idea. Give me one more before we move forward.
Triple H.
Who else from the modern day? What about? No, because it wouldn't work because it'd be 2 heels.
Say it though. Say it. Ciampa. Yeah, fine.
Heel Ciampa.
Yeah, that's cool.
Heel Ciampa goes after Stephanie.
It's cool.
Goes after old. Stephanie's a little older.
Yeah.
Ciampa
puts her on a crucifix.
Ciampa goes to, Ciampa goes to like shaves her head or something.
Yeah.
And then Triple H comes after him.
Yeah, great. Yeah. What's his best match of all time? Or best feud? Best feud of all time. I liked his feud with Mick Foley around the 2000 Royal Rumble.
Absolutely. Man, I got really
Great
emotional.
stuff.
I haven't really got like the kid.
You're always emotional. You're always crying over your ham sandwich.
The kid.
Continue.
This stuff made me emotional because I didn't want the 1-2-3 kid to turn on Razor Ramon.
Yeah.
And I was sad about this. And then in later years, my emotions have obviously, as I've got older and more, old, I've become less emotional with regards to wrestling because, some people say it's scripted and all that. But back at this time, I used to believe it was real. So, but yeah, like these days. I get emotional over Gargano and I get emotional over Ciampa. And I feel it. Man.
Yeah.
I feel it.
Yeah. Cool. Best match? I like the Royal Rumble 2000 and I like Undertaker versus Triple H at 28. It's alright.
When Triple H retired Mick Foley, I cried.
Oh, man.
I knew it was fake.
That's what he was coming up
But
to.
I cried.
Oh, dude.
I cried. I was like, this sucks.
Oh.
This sucks so much. I wanted him to be WWE champion so much again. And he's just fought so hard. He was like, and he kicked out of like 3 pedigrees and then whatever. And it was amazing. And I was like, he's going to do it. And then he didn't do it. And it was really sad.
Very good.
And it's the same now with Gargano and Ciampa. But I like evil Gargano.
Yeah, it's great. We'll go on to the match, shall we?
Aleister Black. I've got a tear in my eye right now.
Oh, dude.
Like, I'm feeling it.
You're feeling it. I'm bringing back emotions to you, baby.
Feeling it right now on the Gimme Wrestling
Please
podcast.
let us know if you're crying in the comments below. People holding the noses as Hunter Hearst Helmsley comes down. The Triple H Shield logo in the ring. I mean, what a... the Triple H thing has become so iconic, and it's interesting that we see that early on. A sign of things to come, probably. Triple H was undefeated at this point. Hunter teases his time, taking off his hunting jacket and white shirt while ushering back Bob Holly. Holly won't waste time with Hunter's avoidance, goes for the lockup and an early slam. Hunter Irish whips Bob Holly into the turnbuckle, and it sounds like the ring is about to break. It was awesome,
but he has
really good.
I mean, I much prefer his work as Hardcore Holly. I
Yes.
think he came into his own, the Alabama Slammer and all that. But yeah, he had the best drop kick of all time. Best drop kick of all time, Bob Holly.
Cool. It is good.
Incredible work.
Midway through the match, we see footage of Bulldog entering the building, even though he doesn't have a match tonight. A bit. It was a bit weird. I hate stuff like that. Do you know when it breaks you away from the match? Like, we've got time between to do that. Let's not. But they do it all the time. Hey, so I'm going to try and stop talking about it.
For continuity's sake, that happens a lot these days. But they were a little bit lax about that.
Yeah, it was just split screen, which is really annoying because it breaks you away. Hunter hip tosses Bob Holly over the top rope. Not the most exciting way to go over the top rope, I thought. A hip toss over the top rope. Weird.
He's the blue blood. He can do what he wants.
Yeah, he can. When Holly has the lead, he continues to throw Hunter into the turnbuckles. Eventually, this ends up in a pedigree. Potentially one of the best finishes of all time, I think.
Yeah, man.
Potentially,
I
one
love
of.
it. I love it.
I love that. I love the tombstone.
Tombstone's very easy to reverse. The pedigree...
The pedigree's easy to reverse.
Well,
It's all story. You just lift them over your head. A bit like a Razor's Edge, you know, how we all say that. You know? But I think it feels devastating, doesn't it, a pedigree? It feels devastating. If it's delivered correctly and received correctly. I thought it was an okay match.
I've never seen a pedigree. What's the worst pedigree you've ever seen? Who took it the worst? I'm
sure we'll see one coming up.
I very rarely, these days perhaps, but I very rarely see people take the pedigree badly. It's difficult to do.
Gaining crown jewel. Let's talk about crown jewel.
Yeah.
It's an okay match. Well, the problem with the pedigree is when people put the knee down too early.
Yeah.
When the person receiving it puts the knee down too early, that's what ruins it. You've got to jump flat with it and go down.
Yeah.
You know.
The Rock was great at it. Rock, yeah, but he always put his knee down early.
Oh, did he?
But he bounced a lot.
Right. Like a stunner, all over the ring. It's an okay match, and it was good to see that they're putting over Hemsley at this point, I think. We see a tug of war against a bunch of firefighters versus Bam Bam, Henry Godwin, Savio Vega, and Mabel. Obviously, you weren't going to pull Mabel into the water in a tug of war. The firefighters ended up jumping in the water. Nice to see that they're doing work in the community, I suppose. The Smoking Guns versus the Blue Brothers, Eli and Jacob with Uncle Zebediah.
I really don't see the point. I mean, obviously, they just look like Wyatt family rejects for these days.
You can't even tell who's who.
I don't see the point.
The commentators can't even tell who's who.
Yeah.
It's rubbish.
It's very odd, isn't it?
What do you think about people when they're in a tag team, dressing the same?
So long as there's identifiable differences between the two in terms of hair or beard, then fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the Smoking Guns sort of work, because you can tell who.
Absolutely. And
I
loved this time, in this match, for the Smoking Guns work. It's the best I've ever seen them. I loved that. I thought the Smoking Guns were brilliant.
I didn't agree. I thought there was better. We see a good move in it, though. Billy starts with Jacob in the ring. Even Vince can't tell who there was. That's... Yeah, part of the problem. But then nowadays, tag teams are quite different normally when they're in tag teams. They focus on them as solos as well as tag, don't they? Very different times. Billy hits a move which would later become his finisher, famously, the famed bottomer. Because we don't swear on this podcast.
No, because it's spelt. Have you noticed how they spell it?
Go on.
They spell it the Fame Ouser.
Fame Ouser?
That's how they spell it.
Awesome. First time that we've seen that, and it was cool to see it.
And they always say it now. They say Famouser.
Very good.
So like
Famous. Very good. Yeah, well, maybe we can get away with that on YouTube. Yes. The Blue Brothers did a double team slam on Billy, which looked okay. Bart ended up getting the hot tag and body slams both of the Blue Brothers. Billy ends up getting a leg drop off the top rope for the win after the Blues are whipped into each other. And I found this a bit boring, and I really couldn't understand why they didn't have Yokozuna and Owen Hart on the show. They were still the champs. It made no sense.
Very odd.
Like, why put... Like, we've seen the Smoking Guns and Owen and Yoko a few times, but that would have been better than this, in my opinion. Next up, Barry Horowitz, the original Kurt Hawkins with a massive losing streak.
Where's Kurt Hawkins got his win? He doesn't. Barry Horowitz is better than Kurt Hawkins.
Oh, wow, okay. But Kurt Hawkins way more talented.
Well, clearly not enough for people to give him a win.
But he will do one day.
Barry Horowitz can do it. Do you think they'll make it into a massive thing? Do you think it'll be on like a Raw or something?
I think it could be mid-card sort of level, yeah. I think it could be quite good.
Do you think he'll have a little bit of a push and then...
Yeah, I mean, when these massive losing streaks come and then this is exactly the same with Barry Horowitz. It isn't about getting Barry Horowitz over, it's all about Skip. Right, it's all about getting Skip over. And that'll be exactly the same with Kurt Hawkins. It won't be about him winning, it'll be about us wanting him to win, but it'll be about... And someone that could work quite well with, I'd say Baron Corbin could take the pin. That'd be a really good story sort of going forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then, Barry Horowitz has rolled up bodied on a Skip whilst he was doing push-ups in the ring, taking advantage of his showboating. And then they had a second match where Horowitz went the 10 minutes with Skip. So Sonny and Skip had said if he lasts longer than 10 minutes, he can win the match. Their mistake, he ends up winning that match as well. So the next match is Barry Horowitz with Skip and Sonny. Tell me a little bit about Skip.
Well, Anthony, Skip Chris Candido was quite famous in ECW. He also had 10 years in the other promotions. He had a lifelong partnership with Tammy Sitch, who is also Sunny. Despite her various controversies, they were together. They were together from high school.
Who were the controversies with?
The controversies were with British Bulldog and Shawn Michaels.
And
numerous other rumours over the years.
Yeah.
Number of
Me.
different...
I once had an affair with Sonny.
Well, I think she does Skype sessions. These days. Perhaps we could.
I don't think she does actually. I think she's been arrested again. But I'll talk about Sonny in a minute. Go on.
Perhaps we could ask her for some evidence of your interactions over Skype.
Yeah,
perhaps.
Yeah, maybe.
But
Chris Candido.
Because Chris Candido, he had a decent, solid run towards the end of his life. He had a quick run in TNA, and he had a really good run in ECW. That's what he's remembered for.
Yeah.
His time there. Obviously, kind of Sonny kind of followed him most everywhere he went.
Yeah.
In terms of his early career, he went to Japan, did really well there. I think that a lot of people overlook his legacy as a performer because of the way that he, this kind of Skip Body Donna's gimmick and how it was formed.
Mm-hmm.
But I honestly think that his, he was a really good technical wrestler.
Yeah.
He had a lot of really good things.
There's a lot of, but then in the WWF at this time, they do have a lot of really good technical wrestlers. They're just not using them very well.
Yeah.
And your biggest example of that in the sort of higher up card that we'll probably talk about later on is Bret Hart, who they're not using well at all. 95 is an awful year for Bret Hart.
Yeah, but you don't put Bret Hart and Chris Candido in the annals of history.
No, but in terms of WWF's booking, I do. In terms of the period,
to give you a quick, just a run through of his title accomplishments, because I think that it would be a shame not to, because obviously he's passed away now. He was the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, WWF World Tag Team Champion, obviously with the Body Donnas, ECW World Tag Team Champion, and WCW Cruiserweight Champion. I remember watching, because I used to flip between in a few years in 96, 97, I used to flip between WCW and WWF and get really excited about what WCW had to offer. And I remember him, recognising him as Skip and thinking to myself, this is a much better use of a character.
Yeah.
Giving him that leg up. No pun intended on the gimmick of the Body Donnas and the fitness thing.
Mm-hmm.
I always felt that Skip of the Body Donnas was a real, it's a bit like if we decided to become, Yorkshire Blue Bloods instead of, Yorkshire pudding wielding, good guys.
Yeah.
Because it would be a step down. And I always thought the Body Donnas, even though it worked as a heel gimmick, wasn't the best showcase for someone of Chris Candido's talent.
The problem is I don't think it was done very well. We've had gimmicks like that before. If you look similar to Rick Rude, and Rick Rude was awesome and used it really well. I don't think Candido did a great job with it, but also I don't think the creative was there. It was a really weird time for wrestling at this point,
Just before we finish on Candido, interesting fact: he was the NWA Midwest Heavyweight Champion when he died.
Wow.
He was that champion when he died, and there was also in subsequent years there have been Memorial Tag Team Championships held by TNA in 2005, 2009 in his memory. So the Chris Candido Memorial Tag Team Tournament,
great,
held twice by TNA.
Let's go on to Sunny. She was obviously the real life partner of Chris Candido. When he was working in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, she used to go down with him basically to make a little bit of extra money, and that's how she got into wrestling.
I'll bet she did.
No, I don't think it was out like that. I think she was young and in love, and she was going with a boyfriend.
I know. That's definitely why.
Oh, right, yeah.
I just wanted to make it.
You wanted to make an innuendo. Very good.
Because I could do that.
You can. Of course you can. In Smoky Mountain Wrestling, she played. Sorry, go on.
I could do something to Sunny.
Oh dear.
Like say hi, I would say hi.
I thought you say hi.
Hi, Sunny.
She played a villain who idolised Hillary Clinton. Wrestling and politics, man.
That would work, though.
No, I don't.
In terms
like
of her look, it would work.
No, I don't like it. I think the two things should just remain in separate spaces.
Aesthetic. I'm from an aesthetic.
I don't watch wrestling for politics, and that was part of the problem with Crown Jewel. She managed Brian Lee to heavyweight championship, and then began working with Candido in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. She joined WWF just before Chris, and was a commentator for Live Event News, which was a show that was shown on, I think it was Saturday night. It was one of the WWF shows. Before Skip joined her a month later, and they started working as the Body Donners, which is what we've got here. In 1996, this is how popular she was and how much of an icon she was. In 1996, she was AOL's most downloaded woman in terms of pictures and stuff like that. That's pretty impressive, man. When you consider WrestleMania this year was Pamela Anderson, and she's beat Pamela Anderson for that. You know, that's big. And she's considered widely as the WWE's first diva. She left WWE in 1998 and went on to ECW after issues with no showing, and an issue with Sable backstage, and also an addiction to painkillers. Both Stitch and Candido went to WCW briefly, but again pushed to leave because of drug abuse. She remained with Chris Candido for the entirety of his life. However, there was numerous affairs, I believe. She had a tough time after being inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2011, and then in 2012 she was arrested. She had to go to a WWE rehabilitation centre, which they fund.
Yeah, I believe she sold her Hall of Fame ring as well.
Yes, she has sold a Hall of Fame ring, to make a bit of money. She went to the rehabilitation centre again, and then had a go at WWF about their rehabilitation scheme. She referenced it into Linda McMahon's political thing. Right. Well, WWE, she's the only person that has banned from ever helping her again with rehabilitation.
Really?
Yeah, because she was just bad mouthing it. You know, she opens her mouth too much sometimes, I think. And then she spent several weeks in jail for burglary, disorderly conduct, driving on suspension, multiple DUIs. I think she had a problem again with the police this year in February of 2018. I don't know where that's gone, but she's not in a very good place, Sonny, is she? Let's hope she gets through, man. Let's hope she gets through. Shame.
It's a real dark period.
You know, I'm sure she's had a hard life as well. You know, I'm sure she has. Sonny comes in saying, so into the match. Sonny and Skip versus Barry Horowitz. Sonny comes in saying third time's a charm for Skip. They will teach Horowitz a lesson they will never forget. Sonny was great on the mic, man. She was so good. And she looked great as well. She was beautiful.
It was a great time for her.
Barry Horowitz comes out on fire. I mean, he comes out and he's sort of excited in the ring straight away. But that's the problem. You know the company's in trouble when they've got to sell a jobber like this.
Yeah, but people love
that. One of the big five,
man.
They
love the underdog, man.
Yeah, but it's not a very good underdog story. 1, 2, 3 Kid is a better underdog story. Virgil was a better underdog story. This isn't a good underdog story. This is just us going, oh, what are we going to do?
Hey, Virgil.
Hey, Virgil.
Virgil probably watches the Gimme Holiday.
Lonely Virgil. No, he can't afford his internet bill. Yeah, you knew the result, what the result will end up being, and it's a long match as well. Again, to the last point, why no Owen and Yokozuna? We've got time for Horowitz, but no Owen and Yokozuna. It's mental. Horowitz comes in hot, dominating Skip after suplexing him out of the ring from the apron.
Yeah, that was nice.
It was good, yeah. Sonny comes into the ring with a white towel, and Ebner sends her out of the ring. A couple of more distractions from Sonny in the match, and Skip gets back in, showboating at every opportunity, as you can imagine. Then, after missing an elbow drop, Horowitz delivers numerous moves, constantly trying to go for the pin. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the fact that Horowitz looked desperate to try and...
excited, yeah.
I'm not just going to try and get the cheap pin. I'm going to constantly go for the pin. It felt like he really wanted it, so I think he did a good job there. Yeah. The crowd really start chanting for Horowitz. Probably the biggest match of his career, I imagine. They both go for a double drop kick, which awkwardly misses, leading to them both on the floor. Skip does a frog splash onto Horowitz and goes for the 3 count, but lifts Horowitz up before the 3, showing off. This then leads to Horowitz reversing a back body drop. Yeah. Was it a mistake to not get the 3 count there?
Well, but I know why they did it.
Well, yeah, I know why. Yeah. Hakushi comes down. angry at the interference earlier in the day from the Skip and Sonny. He jumps over Skip and Horowitz, but the distraction is enough for Horowitz to get the roll-up pin. Yeah, I mean, he just dives over two people to the other. Wow, he was like a video game character, man.
Yeah.
Not just in look, but in like...
Did you see the roll? Did you see the picture-perfect roll when he got down?
It was gorgeous.
Like...
Beautiful.
Amazing.
Beautiful. It's good storytelling. Not the for the match, I thought it was okay. I thought it was quite good. Not the biggest match in the world, not necessarily what I'd consider a Summerslam match, but they did what they could, and I think I think it was good. I don't think it sold Skip very well, though, which is surely the aim. Anyway. Dean Douglas promo next. Definition of vivify: to imbue with renewed life or
annoy me
vigor.
So much.
He breaks down the Hakushi interference, saying Horowitz has been vivified to get the pin. I don't feel like that was the correct use of the word whatsoever, to be perfectly honest. And he grades the ref an F for distraction and S to Horowitz for being a slacker using someone else to win. Have you seen the Matt Hardy series on YouTube, on the Matt Hardy brand YouTube page, which is the Woken Word of the Week?
I have seen a couple of those, yes.
It's like Dean Douglas was an early Woken Matt Hardy. That's great, isn't it? Isn't that awesome?
That is cool.
I think Matt does it way better than Douglas. Todd the Mullet has gone and disappeared. Pettingill reviews the footage from WrestleMania 10 of the historic Michaels and Razor match. An interview with Michaels next. Razor is throwing friendship out the window. Michaels has everything to lose in the match with the Intercontinental Championship on the line, but he needs the win for himself. Redemption for what happened over a year ago at WrestleMania 10. Can't wait to get into that match. So stick with us. I know it's been a long one so far, but we'll bash through it. Bertha Faye with Harvey Whippleman versus Alundra Blaze. First time we've seen Bertha Faye. Tell me about Bertha Faye.
I will tell you about Bertha Faye. I used to love Bertha Faye, although I was really weirded out by the fact that her gimmick was that she lived in a trailer park and dated Harvey Whippleman. Yeah. Apparently Harvey Whippleman in an interview later on in his career/life said that it was a weird one because they didn't actually get on well at all.
Oh, didn't they?
Not at all, no. Rhonda is celebrated.
Rhonda is Bertha Faye's real name?
Rhonda Singh, yes, yeah. Rhonda Singh. She's celebrated as being a massive advocate for women's wrestling, and that probably was one of the reasons she didn't have long periods of time in any of the organisations she was in. Spent a lot of time in WWE campaigning for, and one of the reasons she appeared and agreed to sign with WWE was to lift the interest in women's wrestling.
Yep.
This was obviously a highlight. Winning a spoiler alert, victory here.
Yeah.
Was a massive thing, and then of course you had a WCW run, which was kind of quite embarrassing.
Was that when Medusa was there as well?
Yeah, it was a similar time. She had a gimmick there, and it was, I think she was called Beef. And she was meant to be, sort of comic relief for the Nitro girls, and again, very very proud. Performed in Japan, champion in Japan. Went to that, experienced that for a period of time, and then left because again, the women's division wasn't as strong as
she wanted it to be.
She'd have liked it to be.
It's really, that's a real massive conflict of interest there, and I'll talk about that once you've finished. Yeah, but that's really weird. I don't get the juxtaposition of the two, actually.
Yeah, her championship run lasted only 57 days, which I was reading about earlier, which is a shame. Again, there's a lot of potential to this character, I think, and there was a lot of potential to even the Bertha Faye character could have been funny if they'd have done it in the right way, but it was left to comic relief and her frustrations at being told, particularly at this time. As you see, she wins with a really cool looking sort of Batista bomb type maneuver. Yeah. And her frustrations are with WWE and also WCW was that she was actively told not to use the same power moves as the men.
Right, wow.
And so that was one of the reasons why she left.
Talk about holding the women back, eh?
Yeah, obviously a different time. Apparently WWF management originally wanted her to debut and have a feud with Bull Nakano. Of course, we've seen Bull Nakano.
Bull Nakano's great.
I imagine she would have been a face in that dynamic, so that's that's very interesting. But there was a change of plan after Nakano was charged with cocaine possession, so that's a very interesting...
Man, Bull Nakano was great as well. Yeah. I think if she'd stayed in, the women's division could have held up for a lot longer.
Yeah, she went back to Japan towards the end of her life. She was trained in Canada, and had a good career traveling the world, particularly in Japan. And she went back to Japan towards the end of her career, but didn't stay again too long because she was unhappy with the new system which had developed while she was with WCW and WWE, where Japan was doing less and less payouts for wrestlers. So again, I think a notable figure in women's wrestling in terms of advocacy.
Should she be in the Hall of Fame?
I don't think so.
No, okay.
Not for in terms of her advocacy, yes, perhaps, but in terms of her legacy in the ring, perhaps in a different country.
I mean, here's my problem. She's very much a comedy character, and this is what I don't like. Or portrayed as a portrayed as the creative that she's been given as a comedy character. Yeah, actually, she should have been a beast. She should have been a Yokozuna monster. Yeah, and that would have sold Alundra Blaze so much better, which is what all this is about. And so the dynamic between them two, really, an advocate for women's wrestling, but actually being forced into comedy roles, must have been a really difficult thing for her to have gone through.
She didn't have that in Japan. She was actually billed,
as a beast. She was I imagine that'd work.
And she had her own name as one of the gimmicks, but I think she was billed as a monster, and so she had that chance in Japan, which is probably why she enjoyed being there more than the very American, sports entertainment style.
Cool. Into the match, we go back to the ring where Bertha Faye is already in the ring with manager Skinny Harvey Whippleman.
/ boyfriend.
Is that a storyline boyfriend? Yes, they hated each other in real life. It certainly helps sell Bertha Faye as being bigger than she was, putting her with Whippleman, who was very thin. Which is the idea, isn't it, if you're trying to get over a monster? But actually they didn't. She was just a comedy character. It was poor in sort of bright colours. Alundra Blaze, her name's in Pyro. She comes down to the ring. Alundra has got her...
anymore.
No, man. No,
really cool, though.
It was really cool, yeah. Really good. Alundra's got a title back from Bull Nakano. Alundra is the women's division at this point. It is just Alundra, and that was the problem. That's why Alundra ended up going to WCW, and we have the bin in the title, because there was no real competition for Alundra. And they had a chance here with Bertha Faye to do that. Yeah. And instead, they went a comedy route, which I think... if they'd gone a different way, could have changed things many years to come, Faye was obviously a much bigger opponent than anyone that Blaze has fought before, and again, the leg drops in the match look great. Bertha goes for a splash from the second rope but misses, although Alundra Blaze gets back into it. One hard punch, so takes her back down. Thanks, man. Alundra Blaze goes for a pin, but Whippleman has distracted the ref. Alundra goes for a German. This is a great moment in the match, actually. She goes for the German, realises that Bertha's too big to do that to, so instead switches it into a crucifix, because Bertha was too big to flip over back. I enjoyed that. I can't do what I normally do to get it.
So adapting.
And again,
one of the greatest, in terms of presence, in-ring presence, one of the greatest female performers of all time.
Yes. Let's not talk about her evolution battle royale, but anyway. Multiple drop kicks from the top rope can't keep Bertha down, and she misses one. Bertha Faye goes for a power bomb and gets the pin. It's like a Batista bomb, isn't it? Sit down Batista bomb. The new WWF Women's Champion.
For a short period of time.
There's not enough in the match. Faye was sold as a joke character, saying she has an interview afterwards where I'm gonna put this belt around my slim waist. It's like, it's body shaming and rough. Weird.
Very different times.
Bertha could have been the new Yokozuna, man. Undertaker with Paul Bearer versus Karma with Ted DiBiase.
Doesn't have a bad showing in this match, Karma, but it's so weird to see.
It's a weird one, man.
It's weird to see him as because obviously as wrestling fans of present day, you remember him as the Godfather, and
I
previously
remember him as Papa Shango.
Papa Shango.
Yeah.
And it's weird because this is like a kind of a plain character for him.
Karma was quite plain,
in the grand scheme of characters that he's portrayed. Karma was quite. I mean, obviously in the Nation Domination days,
we are the Nation.
Very prominent in main event almost.
Yeah, but every character didn't have to be a cartoon. And I think that's what they were doing. They were saying like, we're not going to give him that cartoon gimmick because we've got a lot of cartoon gimmicks, and actually he's a really good worker. So we're not just going because hey, they're going to give him a trash man gimmick or or
hey,
painter, whatever.
I would have run with that.
Yeah,
I would have run with that.
Just before the match, we see a video package of the Karma Undertaker feud, from Karma stealing the urn, melting it down to make a chain. Ted DiBiase comes down with that chain during this match, to Karma attacking Undertaker's followers after leaving wreaths wherever Karma goes. We get a promo from Paul Bearer, exclusive to Coliseum Video.
I actually think that was really spooky, the wreaths.
Yeah, man, that's cool. We saw them at the last pay-per-view, but they didn't get involved, did they? The Creatures of the Night, they were calling them.
Yeah.
In a few moments, you will witness history as Undertaker. Yeah, as Undertaker makes history of Karma. Undertaker says Karma has crossed the line when he attacked his Creatures of the Night, and now his day of reckoning is at hand. When the night is over, Karma's soul will belong to the Undertaker. So into the match, early on, Taker chokes Karma with 2 arms in the air. Some strength there, man. I mean, Karma wasn't a small guy. He was a big guy. Karma gets thrown over the top rope onto the casket and sells the fear of it as soon as he's on top of it, which was really good. That's what I love about casket matches. Anytime there's only one that's done it perfectly, and that was at SummerSlam 92. Remind me of the name of the guy with the face paint. I'm thinking how mad about it one.
Really talk? You mean like not
the black guy with the white face paint and the mask and the tribal thing? Kamala, thank you, Kamala. Yeah, I mean, anytime I see someone like in fear of a coffin, it always reminds me of that great Kamala-like thing, because he sold that so well, man, so well.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah. Whoa. Taker gets an old school early on before instructing the casket to be opened. He throws Karma into it, but quickly jumps out. They've got a camera in the casket, which is quite cool.
Yeah, that's nice.
Keep going to
down.
that.
Yeah. That was cool.
Karma catches Taker when he goes for a crossbody and slams him to the ground. Obviously, he sits up. Karma gets Taker into the casket, but Taker drags him in. DiBiase distracts Undertaker, meaning Karma can get out. And then the match gets quite slow when Karma's in control. I don't mind Undertaker stuff. I don't mind that sort of, it's a bit samey, but it's fine.
Yeah.
When Karma's in control, it's really slow. It's a slow beating of punches and kicks and clothesline. It doesn't feel...
He never became, and he never was, the fastest performer.
No.
Although he had some good kicks like Karma, and he was able to get... He had a kickboxing vibe about him. So I think when people look at it like that, as a fighter, as a brawler, Karma was great, and he would.
He wasn't fast enough for it is a problem. And the thing is, he was great friends with the Undertaker. Like backstage, at this time, you've got the Clique, you've got the Bone Street crew, which is Undertaker, Mabel, Karma. He was really good friends. Undertaker would have put him over big here. And I don't understand why Karma didn't use this time to do some power moves to Undertaker. And it would have sold Undertaker, because Undertaker would still sit up from it.
Yeah.
I just feel like the match was a bit lazy. And I feel that with a lot of Karma. Can I say that? Yeah. Even Godfather, when it was the promos. It wasn't the ring work that was great. It was the promos and everything that came around it.
His moveset, which was
limited.
Well, he had a good Death Valley Driver to finish, and he had a good Stinger Splash.
Yeah,
we'll call it the Stinger Splash.
Yeah,
he had a good splash and stuff. So a few moves he had were great.
It felt slow though in this match. DiBiase starts attacking Taker with the chains. Paul Bearer takes off his jacket to go attack DiBiase.
You've forgotten one.
Go on.
The Good Father.
Oh, the Good Father.
Right to censor.
Yeah, great.
We mentioned all his characters.
Very good.
In WWE.
That was the Godfather with a shirt on.
The Good Father with an extra O.
Okay, very good. So this is great. DiBiase starts attacking Taker with the chains. Paul Bearer takes off his jacket and he's just like got his white shirt on, flailing around as he's trying to like attack Ted DiBiase. My girlfriend, like, she'll often like sit there and watch like bits of it, or she'll be watching the phone. Anytime Paul Bearer's on, she doesn't necessarily like The Undertaker, but anytime Paul Bearer's on, she loves it, and he's great, and he looks like he proper wants to kill DiBiase, and he's just a big guy getting held back by refs. It's hilarious. Taker and Karma fight on top of the casket, with Karma teasing a pile driver, but eventually Undertaker sends him back into the ring. Dom, has there ever been a casket match where someone has been put in the casket by having them put through the lid of the casket?
There will have been, but I can't recall one.
I mean, it should happen now. It makes sense. I mean, like a chokeslam from Undertaker. A chokeslam from Undertaker to put someone through the lid of the casket, it'd be great. And it's not like a proper coffin lid, it's just a piece of ply on top. I imagine it's happened, but I just couldn't think of it myself. Both men end up in the casket and the lid closes. What should that have been then?
A finish.
A draw. Yes, it should have been, shouldn't it? Yeah, weird. Chokeslam into the tombstone, the crowd go crazy for it, destroys Karma as he gets rolled into the casket for the win. These two were great friends backstage, and it was an okay match, but I just think it could have been so much more, you know? I think Undertaker could have really sold Karma here, especially in the parts where he controlled the match. Have you found it?
Nothing of note.
Oh, I think it'll be a difficult one to find. So then we get Jerry Lawler's private dentist against Bret Hart. Bret Hart versus Isaac Yankem DDS. Who would famously go on to portray
the mayor of
Diesel. Oh, what was you going to say? The mayor of
wherever he's the mayor of.
I've got it written down.
Got it written down.
Notts County.
Notts County.
Yeah, he'd go on to portray the mayor of Notts County.
Wow.
Yeah.
In Notts County, like, as a football team in Nottingham, right? Is it Notts County? Are you sure?
Knox, Knox.
Oh, right. I thought you said. I was like Notts County.
No.
Notts County.
Notts County. Yeah.
So yeah, he's the mayor of Notts County.
Isaac Yankem, Kane. We love Kane. What? So this has got Triple H and Kane. Let's not talk about Crown Jewel. He had wrestled in Smoky Mountain Wrestling as Unabomb, where he held the tag team championships with Al Snow.
Wow.
Yeah, this is prior to him entering the WWE.
I can't wait to start watching Al Snow.
Oh, head. I'm pretty sure
the J.O.B. You're going to do the J.O.B. on the PPV. I love the Job Squad.
I'm pretty sure that when he was in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, because obviously Jim Cornette owned Smoky Mountain Wrestling, so they were doing a lot of cross-promotional stuff. I'm pretty sure that's where Undertaker wrestled Glenn Jacobs as Unabomb or whatever it was before WWF.
What a great name. I would call you Udabomb.
Udabomb. I think he was also Doomsday as well. I think it was another one of his names. Yeah, there is an early videotape, so you can probably find that on YouTube, actually. He fought in WCW, one match. If you could have one match in WCW, who would it be against?
Sting.
Correct. That's awesome, isn't it? Which he lost. Then he come to WWF and started to use the Unabomb name, again competing in dark matches, but his television debut was as Isaac Yankem.
Oh, you see his teeth? Do you ever see his teeth?
Yeah, man. Weird, wasn't it? Yeah, was like, they looked real as well, did they not?
Yeah, he was a dentist, but his teeth
were rotten. That was his gimmick. Let's not forget that this run, right, so it's a bit of a weird run, but he got the opportunity here to wrestle Jake the Snake and the Ultimate Warrior and these sort of legends when they return in the near future, which is cool. I mean, he jobbed to them, but you know, that's
it's funny
in sort of his legacy because he's such a big wrestler. It's good that he got that opportunity.
You see him in interviews now, and he doesn't acknowledge it even happened. No. Like he'd be like, "Oh, there's the dentist," and he'll have a little smile.
Yeah, it's great.
A little smile to himself.
Yeah. After the awful fake Diesel stint, he then went on to make one of the greatest debuts ever. I think it is the best debut ever, isn't it? Kane. Is there a better debut?
Chris Jericho.
Oh, the Y2J. That's,
in terms of excitement, of... Because people knew he was from WCW, and it was like they had weeks of these
Yeah,
and it was
I know
obviously
the
2000.
Y2K,
It was obviously 2000, the Y2K, and it was Y2K thing, and the countdowns they were going on for weeks. And I was like, I remember.
But wasn't that a little bit more deflating, or was it great that it was
loved
Y2K?
it. In fact, as soon as this podcast is over, I'm going to rewatch that debut because I was so excited.
I think Kane is probably the best, actually. You had talk a lot in the matches building up.
It was frightening. No, I mean, when he did that, when he was first, he couldn't speak.
Yeah.
And he had his, what was it? I can't remember what we call it. Not a vocoder, but you
that was much later on, but the voice box thing.
The voice box.
Yeah, but in terms of his debut, it was in the first ever Hell in a Cell match against with Shawn Michaels and Undertaker, and he comes in and rips down the cell door. But there'd also been building up Kane for weeks before, that his brother is here, and who's this? This must be Kane. Is that what they say?
Yeah.
Jim Ross, man, awesome. And that's at Bad Blood, so we're going to be covering that. Not long, man. Not long. 24 more weeks, I think. Again, his career is much like Hunter's. It's enormous, and it's impossible for us to go through everything. But you've got the Brothers of Destruction,
a couple of world championship
unmasking,
runs.
world champion rings. I never liked his unmasking.
I never. I think you should have just kept it on.
Storyline with Lita, Kane and the Big Show tag team was a big thing. Team Hell No.
Numerous tag teams.
Corporate Kane.
X-Pac, team with X-Pac,
Isn't it ironic that the two members of the Authority, Kane and Triple H, debuted at the same pay-per-view?
There you go.
Oh, read into it. He's currently the mayor of Knox County, and he also got married to his wife, who he's still married to these days, 5 days before this SummerSlam aired, which is quite an interesting fact around the time.
There you go.
He won the WWE special of the Weakest Link, beating Bubba Ray Dudley in the finals. Have you ever watched them?
He's very clever. He is
very good.
Very clever. I also quite like See No Evil, You
like See No Evil? Yes, he was the main villain in See No Evil as well.
Hook, didn't he?
Yeah, no, I
and
think
he
it's
hooked
rubbish.
you in.
Yeah, I didn't like it. No.
Right.
So yeah, there we go. There's a bit about Kane. It's cool. You happy?
Yeah.
Should we move on?
Yeah.
Into the match. We see a video package showing Lawler-Hart feud, the sort of 2-year feud that's been going on. King has recruited his dentist who enjoys torturing his patients. He's going to extract Bret from the WWF. Clever play on words, sir. Well played.
Very clever on the whole.
Bret Hart interview. Lawler still upset that he had Bret's foot in his mouth and his own foot in his mouth. Bret Hart is going to knock out the teeth of Isaac Yankem DDS. It's really interesting seeing a very early Kane in the ring. You can tell that Bret was calling a lot of the shots in the match and controlling the match, but he also tried to help sell Yankem as well. He did. Bret, man, I mean, why is he in this? I don't really know. I don't know. Like, the title picture is just so weird.
Yeah, it does well to sell the debut of Yankem.
It does. I think it's a good debut, actually. A lot of people don't like this. I enjoyed it as a debut. It's not Kane debut, but it's a good debut. In my opinion. Yankem starts off in control, delivering clothesline and body slams to Hart. His size really helps sells him straight away as a threat to the Hitman. Lawler had a great line. Bret's dad goes to dentist twice a year, once for each tooth. It's great. Lawler does a lot to help them keep the match interesting, especially when they have slower points in the match, and it keeps cutting to him as well. Hart eventually clotheslines Yankem out the ring. I'll say one thing about Yankem. Considering he was a bigger man, he was doing a lot more work in the ring than someone like Diesel or Sid, making the match more interesting and able to sell Bret's offense.
Worker.
Yeah, no,
did you see that leg drop? He does.
Yeah.
From the top
rope. Yeah. Like, or was it second? But yeah,
it was
great.
It was real good.
It was really good. Yeah. Yankem chokes Bret.
I don't think you ever saw that again from him.
No, probably not. No.
But really,
I loved Kane's moveset when he come in. Yeah. Kane was so slow but so powerful.
Yeah.
You believed everything.
It was the genuine like horror film type thing. The kind of. He reminded me a lot of like a
Jason Voorhees.
Like a you know, you'd have these moments where people would go up to him and he'd go like.
Yeah, it was great, man. It was great.
And then he would destroy you. Yeah. And it's like, you just don't know what's happening.
Yankem starts to choke Bret on the ropes, and the official grabs Isaac Yankem's permy hair and pulls him off him. I thought it was a bit weird, man. A bit weird.
It's very permed, isn't it?
That shouldn't have happened. Yankem thrusts Hart's back to the outside turnbuckle before hanging Bret over the top rope from the apron and delivering a leg drop onto him off the top rope. That's what he was on about.
He was.
A big man doing moves like that was really impressive.
For his whole career, I don't think he's doing it now. But the top rope clothesline, that was his signature.
His signature for a long time. Yeah. He locks the sharpshooter onto Yankum, but Lawler pushes the rope into Yankum's hand. A great way to get Lawler involved. Yankum climbs the top rope, but is suplexed off by Brett. And then the really heely point in the match. And I remember watching it years ago, and I never got this. And I hate it when it happens, because it's a really heel move. Brett ties up Yankum's legs on the side of the turnbuckles and then uses him while he's incapacitated by that to kick him. It feels so heely, man.
We've had this discussion about Brett before. He does some quite heely stuff.
He does. Lawler gets involved as Hart grabs him, but Yankum has got himself free and delivers a double axe handle to the back of Brett from the top rope to the outside. Again, for a bigger man to take that big leap, it was crazy. It was great. Yankum and Lawler trap Brett's head in the top and middle rope, and they both pull on Brett's feet. It looks brutal.
I remember watching that with my ham sandwich, my cup of tea, with my nana.
Ham sandwich falling out your mouth in excitement.
I was getting pretty emotional again.
It looks violent.
Yeah.
Watching it today, I actually felt sorry for Brett. And wow, that's great. Good storytelling. I enjoyed it.
Wrestling.
It's good. It's good when any wrestling can make you feel emotions, whether it's anger, hate, or sympathy, or whatever, empathy. An interview next with Razor. I enjoyed the match. You enjoyed the match?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it was good. Interview with Razor Ramon. History has a way of repeating itself. Doc says Michaels is the evil Knievel of the World Wrestling Federation, and he says he's going to be the first 4-time Intercontinental Champion. Into the next match. Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon in a rematch of the ladder match from WrestleMania 10. Did you know that this HBK was initially advertised to fight Sid at SummerSlam, and they knew that with a weak card and with sort of your same old matches, they knew that they had to have a show-stopping event, and they went, yeah, let's put Michaels with Razor again. And they delivered, baby.
This is better than the original.
Really?
It just feels more current. It feels more exciting. It feels more... They feel the chemistry is there. They've had a couple of dances. They've had a bit of a rehearsal.
Yeah,
and this,
it's great.
This is... this makes up for the last however many shows we've done of absolute... terrible.
Yeah, but the 95 had some really good stuff, like the Shawn Michaels and Jeff Jarrett in the last match. Everything Shawn Michaels does.
Everything Shawn Michaels does. And I really want to believe that Hunter is, of the pair of them, is the least nice person, because I love Shawn Michaels. And I think I'd love to believe he was a good person too, because his performances...
Born again Christian now, man.
His performances are exceptional.
I was talking on the In Your House review that we did a lot with Susan, who she wrote an awesome comment. We mentioned her in the last episode.
The Macho Man.
She does the Macho Man Randy Savage, the greatest page. So go over there and hit that
Susan,
thumbs up.
Thanks for watching.
She's so great, man.
Good to hear from you again.
We was talking a bit about Shawn Michaels, and I was saying that he is like the new Macho in WWF. Like, he has the charisma and that improvisational skill that excited us about Macho.
That's a really interesting side note, and obviously we've got to be careful in this. So 2 questions.
Yeah.
Because that's fantastic, isn't it? You're right, he's the new Macho.
Yeah.
So, 2 questions. Who best embodies what Macho Man did in present day wrestling? And secondly, who best embodies what Michaels did aside from the almighty Dolph Ziggler?
No, don't be so daft.
I'm going to let you have an alternative, because clearly it's Dolph Ziggler who's better than Shawn Michaels. I'm going to let you have an alternative pick, because clearly I know you would pick Dolph Ziggler as well.
So if we're talking about main roster WWE,
I'm talking across the board.
We'll talk main roster WWE, because if not, I'll just say Kenny Omega, and then that's really boring.
No, across the board WWE program.
Kenny Omega's got that charisma.
Yeah, but he's not in WWE.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So in main roster WWE.
No, because that's not main roster.
Oh wait, are you going to say it right? So okay, there's three people, and then we'll move on.
So I got Macho Man, we got Shawn Michaels. So find me an alternative for both that isn't Dolph Ziggler.
I'm going to find you 3 alternatives: Seth Rollins, AJ Styles.
For what?
For all of it, and Velveteen Dream. Yeah, I get exactly where you're going. Velveteen Dream. Yeah, Velveteen Dream's great. Woo. Dolph Ziggler's not. Our podcast. This podcast has been going on for ages.
The Ziggler Cast.
The Ziggler Cast. Is that a good answer?
Yes,
for you? Are you happy with that?
I was going to suggest Gargano as Macho Man.
Nah. There's something not there. No, he hasn't got the showboatiness.
He will have. It's
Mind you, Adrian's after.
It's
Maybe
coming.
Velveteen is the answer.
Velveteen is the answer. And Gargano.
No, Velveteen is the answer. So yeah, right, into this match, because it's amazing and I can't wait to talk about it. I've made loads of notes, so I'll bash through them. Michaels in an amazing light blue outfit. We haven't seen him in this.
Brilliant.
It looks awesome.
That's what I'm saying. Everything, even the outfits, did it for me.
Yeah.
That's great.
Amazing. Looks better than I think he ever has, and amazing ovation in the crowd. Doc Hendricks has come out on the commentary to replace Jerry Lawler. Good idea. I quite like Doc Hendricks on commentary. Sort of builds up that excitement. The ref puts the belt on the ring to send it out. Right, this is a moment, and it's a tiny thing, and I've wrote a page of notes on it because it's awesome, and it shows why HBK is amazing. The refs put the belt on the ring. Go to send it out. It's sent too high. You can see that it's sent too high, but also the way they've put it on the ring, on the ring of that's going above the rep. It's sort of just hanging off, so the IC belt bit is down. It doesn't show off the belt at all. The refs call it back in because it's too high, blah, 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 blah. Michaels pushes the ref out of the way, grabs the Intercontinental belt, faces it so that the camera can see the belt, showing it off, and then says, right, up to the crew on the side. Great. Improvisational. Excellent, showing that character, showing that pride in the belt, and it's guys like Shawn Michaels that build the belt up. You know,
and they need to do more of that in WWE. Is make the show about the shows they have, especially with the brand new heavyweight champion as it is in present day. They need to make more of a fuss of these belts, and there's been a lot of talk with guys like Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins in recent years here, bringing pride back to the Intercontinental Championship.
Yes, yeah, I agree, and The Miz and other people like that, real talents as opposed to Ziggler. The two start off running the ropes, jumping over each other before Michaels goes for a sweet-chin music, which Razor stops himself before going into.
That was good.
Right, I mean, it's the start of a match, and we're getting what would normally be a sort of finish to a match. Yeah. That sort of build up to the finish at least.
Yeah.
And it happens now, and it's like, oh wow, they're really gonna go at it. Yeah. They're really gonna go at it. The two start. Michaels gets Irish whipped into turnbuckle, sends himself over into the floor. Doesn't rip his pec like Triple H did recently. Amazing. Both men start fighting towards the ladder. Shawn drags Razor back. The fight over the ring ropes with Razor on the apron. He suplexes Michaels, who gets some incredible height on that suplex before hitting his leg on the barrier, falling to the floor. Wow, I mean, it could have hurt. It looks brutal, and this match looks real most of the time. That's all in the first minute or two. It's great. Michaels starts crawling toward the ladder, but Razor stops him. Razor goes for the Razor's Edge, but Michaels flips off the back and goes for switching music, but misses. Both men go for the double clothesline, and again, that's the type of spot that's normally at the end of the match, and we've not even seen the ladder be played yet. We've seen them try to get to the ladder, we've seen them crawl to the ladder, but not yet. Great. After a suplex from the second rope, Razor goes to get the ladder into the ring. The entire match could have ended here, and it still would have been better than most of the stuff we've seen in 1995 with no ladder. Michaels accidentally hits Razor with the ladder in the face. Razor goes to pull Michaels off the ladder, and he moons the audience. Yeah, it happened before. It's classic. Yeah, it's classic. Razor pulls the ladder down, and Michaels' leg really awkwardly slips in the rung of the ladders, and then it was. I don't think it was intentional, but then he starts working over the leg, and it all plays into the match. It feels natural. Yeah, they accidentally hitting Razor in the face. So Vince McMahon had told him that they couldn't hit each other with ladders. It was some sort of issue with using weapons at this time and stuff like that, and keeping it family friendly. But it was I can't remember who it was. Someone had said to the two guys, like, yeah, you can't hit each other, but you can use the ladder. Yeah. So Vince McMahon starts panicking. I think that he'd hit him with a ladder, but it was an accident. Right, he was sort of turning it around. Anyway, a weird point in the match. Razor starts focusing on the leg of Michaels, using the ladder to help him get the damage needed. At this point, the ladder is used for brutality and focusing on body parts, not for big spots like we see nowadays, and that's great. Razor sets up the ladder in the corner, but as he attempts to Irish whip Michaels into it because of the damage Michaels has taken, His leg just collapses. Michaels pushes Razor into the ladder, and when he hits it, goes and hurts his ribs. And we've seen the ribs of Razor with the Jeff Jarrett thing, so we know that there's history there. It's great storytelling, man. Razor, am I boring you?
No.
Is that all good?
No,
it's great, isn't it?
Yeah,
Isn't it great?
Really good.
Razor continues to work on Michaels' legs.
I like when you get excited about specific matches that I'm also...
It's just them little details that are just so great. Razor continues to work on Michaels' legs, wrenching it into the ring post, dropping back into it, dropping the ladders into Michaels' legs. It really tells a story, and it all feels justifies that Michaels is struggling to stand. So when Razor climbs the ladder, we don't know if Michaels can actually take Razor off. We believe that. He does eventually manage it with a double axe handle off the top rope, But Michaels then drops Razor with a back body from the third run of the ladder, which looks impressive. Two big guy falling down. Michaels sets up the ladder in the corner and flips off it to attack Razor before climbing to the very top. And he goes for the frog splash, which he misses. Imagine.
There's a nice spot reference back to the previous one as well. There's a couple of those, isn't there?
There's
a couple of little legacy spots.
Yeah. And Michaels has used that in a few ladder matches. He had one at WrestleMania, didn't he? Was it against Jericho?
Oh yeah.
I think it was.
Man, I need to go back and watch some.
Yeah, well, we're gonna get to him, and he does a frog splash
in about 20 years.
Yeah. Razor starts looking under the ring, pulls out a second ladder. The crowd are hyped, man. This is the first time we've seen a second ladder used in a ladder match, and that little moment. Now we get like ladders on the ramp, on the entrance, on blah blah blah. But now they're like, oh my god, what are they gonna do with two ladders?
Yeah,
great. We take it for granted now. Whilst Michaels is climbing a ladder, Razor delivers the Razor's edge and Michaels is out. But as Razor sets up the ladder, Michaels sets up the other one next to him. When he reaches the top, he switching music's Razor off the ladder, although he doesn't connect at all with the switching music. A bit of a shame.
It's a weird angle for that to happen.
A bit of a shame. But who cares really at this point? It's still great. His ladder is too far away to reach a belt, but that doesn't stop him diving for the belt before falling to the ring mat. It's great. I think he was intended to get the title at that point, I think the fact that... Yeah, I think
it's a risky spot, though.
It is a risky spot, but it happens again in a second. I think that was the setup for the win. But the match carries on, and I think the two were improvising. You saw a spot being called. The ladder was just too far away. Michaels tried bunny hopping it, but it didn't work. Razor goes for the Razor's edge again, but Michael sends him over his back and over the top rope. Michael sets up the ladder for the win, and again, he's just too far away. He tries to bunny hop, but he can't get it. He jumps for the belt and he slips off. Again, I think he was meant to get the belt at that point. That second spot where he sends him out of the ring doesn't feel as big as the ending with the switching music. And then we see Michael's frustration as he sets up the ladder again, sort of improvising and using the fact that this has all gone slightly wrong to really get it there. And he goes up and he gets the belt. I think the belt was set a bit too high, actually. Yeah. But he gets it. Razor gets into the ring and takes the belt off Michaels before presenting it to him.
That was nice.
You think, his heel.
I remember that from my childhood. That was really cool.
And then presents it to him, and we celebrate with both of them. Right, the match is great. You said it's better than WrestleMania 10. I don't think it is.
I think it is.
And there's only one thing that I think makes... And they're both amazing. I think there's one thing that makes WrestleMania 10 slightly better, and that's the heel-face dynamic and that sort of viciousness.
Yeah.
But that's the only sort of difference. I think they're equally great, though. I think they're great. So, great match. Want to say out?
Massive fan of it. Bigger fan of it.
Go watch it.
Go watch it.
Go watch all of our other videos. They're awesome. So I think the match had gone on like a couple of minutes extra because of them sort of few botches that I think had happened at the end, and so the main event is shrunk down, and it feels shrunk down, and it's sort of rushed, and that's probably okay because it's probably slightly better that they get on to things. Yeah. Well, no, I'm not even having a go about the time. What I'm saying is that the pace of the match has to move a bit quicker. Do you know what I mean? I quite like this match. I had a really interesting talk with Suzanne about this Well, I'll talk about it afterwards. Diesel versus King Mabel with Sir Mo for the WWF World Heavyweight Championship. Mabel comes on a throne carried by men. We did actually use the image of that on our King of the Ring video, so if you want to see an image of it, check that out. Diesel backstage interview says he ain't worried about no royal plan. Everything feels a little rushed. I think they were short on time. They get right to it with clotheslines. Yay. And Diesel attacking Mabel in the corner. The weak attack is put to a stop when Diesel can't slam Mabel. He eventually shoulder barges Mabel out the ring. Nash's back was actually injured during this match in real life. He was champion, he was working a lot of matches. And Mabel does that move where he turns him over and sits on his back. I think Mabel had just forgot. Mabel nearly got fired for that, man.
Yeah, I remember hearing in your research. It's interesting that, isn't it? And it was actually Diesel that saved his job, I believe.
Yeah. And you can actually, if you listen in the match, he's like, "What are you doing?" You know, because he was actually hurt. He'd asked Mabel to take it easy on his back. But yeah, so there we go. Mabel, he'd go on to injure the Undertaker very soon.
Indeed.
Yeah.
He probably would have had a world title run if this hadn't have happened.
And the Undertaker, maybe. Oh, thank God
I think
that happened.
Was he ECW champion when he came back? Because when the brand came back, it was big because he was Big Daddy V in his last run. I'm just going to check.
I don't know, man. Mabel's Diesel then throws himself over the top rope to attack Mabel, which was good. It was good to see Diesel throw himself. He was a big guy, man. But after a whip to the turnbuckle, it's back to the ring for more turnbuckle stuff. Mabel does a slam to Diesel, and then that's when we get the teabag on the back. Mabel runs the ropes and destroying the ref, sending him out of the ring. I didn't really get why. Anyway, Mabel and Mo start attacking Diesel, and Lex Luger comes down. Now, why is Lex Luger coming down? Because Mabel and Mo are attacking Diesel, right? So what does Diesel do to Lex Luger when he comes down? He attacks him and sends him out the ring.
It's real odd, isn't it?
It's real odd. It seemed a little pointless, and it was really rushed. There was a lot of stuff going on, and again, I think that was down to them running out of time. Wow. Then when Luger gets back up, he attacks Mo.
Just a hardcore championship, the tag team championship, which we've already covered, and the King of the Ring we've already covered. I was convinced he had an ECW championship to his reign.
There we
what
go.
A shame.
He doesn't.
What?
Mabel goes to the second rope but falls flat on his face. Go on, tell us something about Mabel. It's funny.
Worst tag team of 1999, according to the Wrestling Observer, with Midian.
Ugh.
Or, as we prefer to refer to him, Naked Midian. Have you ever seen Naked Midian?
No.
It's coming.
Oh, I can't wait. Mabel goes to the second rope but falls flat on his face. Diesel gets a clothesline off the second rope for the win. It certainly felt like a rush match, but, and this is what I was talking to Susan about, I actually preferred it to the Sid and Diesel match.
Yeah.
Because there was more stuff going on.
Some good high impact spots and stuff, and the flying.
The bit where Diesel went across the top rope.
Yeah.
You know,
some good moments.
I mean, and that's the interesting thing, because what Susan was talking about was about how, at the time, people wanted to see Sid and Diesel go at it. Mm. And I compared it to Braun and Brock these days. You remember their match at No Mercy where we was all really excited and the match just sort of fizzled out. In 20 years' time, two young men from Hull, young, good-looking, attractive men from Hull, will start doing a podcast and they will be looking at that Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar match going, well, that was rubbish. And not understanding all the...
And it's at this point that we should elaborate on the fact that we were not included in the top sexiest men and
in
individuals across the board. We were not included as male representatives in that list. And
are you going to do something to get us on that list next year?
We're just gonna keep being us, mate. We're just gonna keep
talk to your
us.
Contacts, mate. Talk to your contacts.
We're gonna keep being us, and we this is our intention, and our promo. Saying that Hull Daily Mail, we want on that list, and it doesn't matter which one comes out top because we're a team.
Well, no, we would joint nomination.
Joint nomination. We want on that list.
Right, best match.
Anyway, Michael's Razor.
Easy. Best performer.
Followed up by Kushi and the 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good match.
Best performer.
Michaels.
Michaels.
Again.
Followed up by
again. Yeah, again. 4 stars. Really solid pay-per-view. I really enjoyed it. I'm sorry that you probably a lot of people disagree with me.
This is your first. I think this is your first 4-star review.
No, I think WrestleMania 10 is higher. I think WrestleMania 10 is like 4 3/4, which is fine. But that's I think this is a really good. I enjoy watching it.
I'll give 4.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much for watching us. Please, if you're enjoying the channel, let us know. Write a comment down below and we'll talk about you. You will be the new Susan.
Featured on the Give Me a Whole Year Wrestling podcast with Dom and Anthony. We have been us, the sexiest men in Hull.
Where can people write to us?
Where can people write to us? They can write to us on Facebook, facebook.com/Give Me a Whole Year. Twitter, where you'll find current live event coverage, twitter.com/Give Me a Whole Year. We're on Patreon in case you want to help us out, keep us going. We're on Redbubble in case you want to buy some t-shirts or other such things, towels, cozies, cushions, whatever, with our logo on it, designed by the wonderful Andrew Jones. We love you. Keep it gay.